Uncover the untold stories of IGBO slaves during the transatlantic slave trade. A chapter etched in history with heart-wrenching choices. Ever wondered about the incredible resilience of the IGBO people in the face of unimaginable challenges? If tales of strength and sacrifice resonate with you, dive into this video to learn more. If you find this topic intriguing, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Black and Powerful for more insightful contents. Hit the bell notification to stay updated on our journey through history and culture. The IGBO people, originally from West Africa, had a vibrant culture and rich history. They lived in various communities, each with its own traditions and practices. One notable aspect of IGBO society was their communal way of life, where people worked together for the well-being of the entire community. The transatlantic slave trade emerged during the 16th century, involving the forced transportation of African people across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas. Unfortunately, the IGBO people were greatly affected by this devastating trade. European colonizers, seeking cheap labor for their colonies, targeted West African regions, including IGBO communities. The impact of the transatlantic slave trade on IGBO communities was profound and tragic. Families were torn apart as individuals were forcefully captured and taken away. Prominent IGBO towns and villages faced a decline in population, disrupting the social fabric and cultural continuity. One such real story is that of Olaudah Equiano, an IGBO man born in what is now Nigeria in the mid-18th century. Equiano was enslaved as a child and transported across the Atlantic. His autobiography, The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Olaudah Equiano, provides a first-hand account of the brutality of the slave trade and the impact it had on IGBO individuals. The Middle Passage refers to the horrific journey across the Atlantic endured by enslaved Africans. IGBO people faced unimaginable conditions during this voyage. Packed tightly in the cargo holds of slave ships, they endured extreme overcrowding, poor sanitation, and rampant diseases. Many fell ill or died due to these harsh circumstances. In 1788, the British ship named the Brooks became infamous for its inhumane treatment of slaves during the Middle Passage. Detailed illustrations of the ship's layout revealed the horrifying conditions faced by the IGBO and other African captives. The images showed how slaves were crammed together with minimal space, emphasizing the cruelty of this journey. The IGBO people from West Africa had a unique culture with rich traditions. They believed in various deities and spirits, emphasizing a strong connection to their ancestors. Practices like masquerades, ceremonies, and storytelling played a vital role in passing down their cultural heritage. Chinua Achebe's novel, Things Fall Apart, offers insights into IGBO culture. The character Okunekwe, an IGBO warrior, exemplifies traditional values and beliefs, providing readers with a glimpse into the complexity and richness of IGBO customs. The deep-rooted cultural aspects of the IGBO people significantly influenced their response to slavery. Central to IGBO beliefs was the importance of community and family. The idea of being forcibly separated from their communities and families clashed with their cultural values, prompting resistance against enslavement. In the late 18th century, IGBO woman Nanny of the Maroons became a legendary figure in Jamaica. Escaping slavery, she established Maroon communities and resisted colonial forces. Nanny's story exemplifies how IGBO cultural values fueled resistance and resilience against the injustices of slavery. Dignity and freedom held paramount importance in IGBO culture. The concept of Ordinance, representing a code of ethics and conduct, emphasized treating others with respect and upholding personal honor. Slavery, with its dehumanizing nature, directly contradicted these cultural principles. In the past, many IGBO people from West Africa were caught up in a heartbreaking event called the transatlantic slave trade. This was a time when people were taken from Africa to work as slaves in the Americas. Among the IGBO slaves, there's a tragic story of some choosing to drown themselves rather than become slaves. This video will delve into this sorrowful chapter in history. The IGBO people hailing from West Africa, had a rich culture and history. Sadly, during the transatlantic slave trade, which occurred mainly from the 16th to the 19th century, many Igbo individuals were forcefully taken from their homes to work as slaves in the Americas. This was a dark period marked by immense suffering and loss. One of the most heart-wrenching aspects of this time is the stories of Igbo slaves who faced an unimaginable choice, to become slaves or to choose their own fate through drowning. Imagine being so desperate to escape the horrors of enslavement that death seemed a better option. In some recorded instances, individuals like Igbo woman Margaret EHKPOH faced the harsh reality of being captured and transported as slaves. The conditions on slave ships were unbearable, with overcrowded spaces, disease, and cruelty. Facing this grim fate, some Igbo slaves made the heart-wrenching decision to jump overboard, preferring death to a life of enslavement. For example, in 1781, on the infamous Zong slave ship, records show that Igbo slaves revolted against their captors. In response, the ship's crew made a chilling decision to throw over 130 slaves overboard. This horrific event, known as the Zong Massacre, demonstrates the extreme lengths to which some Igbo individuals went to resist the inhumane treatment awaiting them. During the transatlantic slave trade, some Igbo slaves faced an unthinkable choice, to endure the horrors of enslavement or to take their own lives by drowning. This tragic decision was documented in various historical accounts, shedding light on the extreme desperation experienced by these individuals. In 1803, aboard the slave ship Henrietta Marie, a revolt led by Igbo captives resulted in some slaves choosing to drown themselves rather than submit to enslavement. This heartbreaking incident, recorded in ship logs, exemplifies the dire circumstances that led some Igbo slaves to such desperate measures. The decision to drown rather than face enslavement was influenced by several factors. One key aspect was the intense resistance to dehumanization. Igbo people, with a strong sense of cultural identity, found the degrading conditions of slavery unbearable. The prospect of losing their freedom, culture, and humanity drove some to choose a tragic end. The autobiography of Igbo woman Margaret Ekpo, though not specifically detailing her journey through the transatlantic slave trade, provides insights into the resilience of Igbo individuals. Margaret's commitment to social justice and human rights reflects the spirit of resistance that may have influenced some Igbo slaves to choose drowning over a life of enslavement. To understand the mindset behind the decision to drown, examining recorded narratives and oral histories is crucial. These stories offer a glimpse into the thoughts and emotions of Igbo slaves facing the harsh reality of the transatlantic slave trade. Oral histories from descendants of Igbo slaves, like those shared in Alex Haley's Roots, provide valuable insights. Although not exclusive to the drowning phenomenon, these narratives convey the emotional toll and determination to resist dehumanization within Igbo communities. The act of Igbo slaves choosing drowning over enslavement had a significant impact during the transatlantic slave trade. While the exact scale is challenging to quantify, historical records and narratives indicate that this desperate resistance was not isolated but occurred across multiple instances and regions. In 1731, on the slave ship Lewiston, over 150 Igbo slaves revolted, resulting in the ship's crew intentionally drowning them. This tragic event illustrates the scale of resistance through drowning and highlights its significance as a form of defiance against the brutal conditions of enslavement. This same decision of some Igbo slaves to choose drowning over enslavement reflects the profound impact of the transatlantic slave trade on their lives. Real stories from historical accounts, ship logs, and personal narratives like those of Margaret Ekpo and descendants in Roots contribute to our understanding of the factors influencing this tragic choice. Exploring these stories helps us grasp the extreme circumstances and deep-rooted resistance that characterized the experiences of Igbo individuals during this dark period in history. The resistance of Igbo slaves through drowning posed challenges for slave traders and plantation owners. The loss of valuable human cargo impacted the profitability of the transatlantic slave trade, leading to financial and logistical challenges for those involved in the business. The Zong massacre in 1781 stands out as a gruesome example. IGBO slaves on the Zong ship rebelled, prompting the crew to throw overboard over 130 slaves. This horrific incident showcased the extreme measures taken by slave traders in response to resistance, demonstrating the disruptive effect on their operations. The resistance of IGBO slaves, including the choice to drown, likely influenced some changes in slave trade practices. It forced slave traders to adapt their strategies to prevent or suppress uprisings, impacting the conditions on slave ships and plantation management. The Zong case led to a legal dispute, revealing the brutality of the slave trade. The trial shed light on the tactics used by slave traders, contributing to growing abolitionist sentiments. This exposure prompted increased scrutiny and potential shifts in the regulation of the transatlantic slave trade. Examine how the stories of IGBO slaves drowning are remembered within the IGBO community. The stories of IGBO slaves choosing drowning as an act of resistance are remembered within the IGBO community as a somber reminder of the sacrifices made during the transatlantic slave trade. Oral traditions and passed-down narratives ensure that these stories are not forgotten. Contemporary IGBO scholars and writers, like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, draw upon historical events to explore themes of resilience and identity. While not directly focused on drowning, their works contribute to the collective memory of IGBO experiences during the transatlantic slave trade. Commemorative efforts and memorials play a crucial role in honoring the memory of IGBO slaves who chose drowning over enslavement. These initiatives serve as a form of recognition and remembrance for the individuals who resisted dehumanization. Efforts to commemorate the Zong massacre, like memorial plaques and educational programs, exist as tangible acknowledgments of the tragedy. While not specific to IGBO slaves, these initiatives contribute to broader discussions about the human cost of the transatlantic slave trade. The stories of IGBO slaves choosing drowning contribute to a broader understanding of the immense human cost of the transatlantic slave trade. It prompts reflection on the brutality faced by individuals and the lasting impact on their communities. The works of historians like Marcus Rediker, who extensively researched the experiences of enslaved individuals, provide valuable insights into the broader implications of the transatlantic slave trade. His work helps contextualize the choices made by IGBO slaves within the larger narrative of this dark period in history. The impact of IGBO slaves resisting through drowning during the transatlantic slave trade was both significant and far-reaching. Real stories, such as the Zong massacre and the Lucedon incident, underscore the scale of this resistance. The legacy and memory of these events within the IGBO community, coupled with commemorative efforts and broader reflections on the human cost of the transatlantic slave trade, contribute to a nuanced understanding of this historical tragedy. Legacy and memory. Within the IGBO community, the stories of slaves choosing drowning are remembered as a painful chapter in history. Passed down through generations, oral traditions preserve the memory of the sacrifices made by those who resisted enslavement. The resilience and courage of these individuals remain an integral part of IGBO cultural consciousness. Contemporary IGBO storytellers, like Chinua Achebe in his book Things Fall Apart, indirectly reflect the impact of the transatlantic slave trade on IGBO communities. Although not focused on drowning, such literary works contribute to the collective memory and understanding of historical struggles. Commemorative efforts and memorials play a crucial role in honoring the memory of IGBO slaves who chose drowning over enslavement. These initiatives serve as a tangible acknowledgement of the sacrifices made and aim to ensure that these stories are not forgotten. In communities around the world, commemorative events and installations, such as memorial plaques, serve as a testament to the resilience of IGBO slaves. For instance, the Zong massacre is commemorated through educational programs and memorials, fostering awareness about the tragic events that unfolded during the transatlantic slave trade. Remembering the stories of IGBO slaves who chose drowning contributes to a broader understanding of the immense human cost of the transatlantic slave trade. It prompts reflection on the enduring impact of historical injustices and the need for ongoing dialogue about the complexities surrounding this dark period. Historians like Marcus Rediker, In his book The Slave Ship, delve into the human experiences during the transatlantic slave trade, shedding light on the broader implications. By exploring individual stories, Rediker provides insights into the dehumanizing conditions faced by IGBO slaves and others, contributing to a deeper understanding of the human toll. The legacy of IGBO slaves' tragic choices continues to resonate in present-day perspectives. The historical events shape discussions on resilience, human rights, and the ongoing struggle against injustice. Understanding the past helps contextualize present-day challenges faced by communities affected by the transatlantic slave trade. Modern activists, inspired by the historical struggles of communities like the IGBO, advocate for human rights and social justice. The echoes of the past are evident in movements addressing systemic inequalities, emphasizing the importance of learning from history to effect positive change. The tragic choice of IGBO slaves highlights the importance of upholding human rights and dignity. Their stories serve as a poignant reminder of the consequences of dehumanization and the ongoing necessity to safeguard the rights of individuals. International human rights movements draw on historical narratives, including those of IGBO slaves, to advocate for policies and actions that protect human rights. The lessons learned from these stories contribute to the ongoing dialogue surrounding the universal importance of human dignity. Contemporary efforts aim to address historical injustices and promote awareness about the impact of the transatlantic slave trade. Initiatives encompass education, activism, and cultural exchange to ensure that the stories of those who resisted enslavement are not overlooked. Educational programs, cultural events, and collaborations between communities worldwide contribute to raising awareness about the historical injustices faced by the IGBO and other affected groups. The ongoing dialogue fosters a deeper understanding of the complexities surrounding the transatlantic slave trade. The tragic phenomenon of IGBO slaves choosing drowning over enslavement highlights the unimaginable challenges faced by those caught in the web of the transatlantic slave trade. Real stories like those of Margaret Ekpo and the Zong massacre serve as painful reminders of the resilience and heartbreaking choices made by the IGBO people during this dark chapter in history. It's crucial to remember and learn from these stories, honoring the strength and courage of those who faced such unimaginable circumstances.